Yep. You saw it right there, chat. You saw it right there. We made Executioner the most budget of budget champions, the most accessible champions. Used to be King of Kings in arenas. Was the ultimate player, the winner of winners, who now is nothing, despite the 7,144 reviews. The champion has been demoted. He's been forgotten. He's been misremembered and no longer is in the limelight. But if you're making a new account, if you're a new player and you're making a new hero, if you're someone who doesn't have good RNG, Executioner is the man. So, Executioner, I built him really as a trial as I'm doing some more budget build videos, really to help new players, because obviously you see all these videos and they're all how you can giga doink your 6-star mythic legendary rare stuff, but the reality is that coming to this game, it can be incredibly demanding sometimes in terms of what you can do with the heroes that you got with it. So that was only a level 7 Sand Devil, but the reality is if I couldn't go any further and I needed to farm the Ascension stuff for my other characters or for this character in particular, I could do so. Now, this was playing off some RNG that I happen to get at least a rank 5 soul for Executioner. Since he's a blue and it's common and you can put him as your wish list, it's pretty accessible to target farm the souls. But this is just an example of how I could do really something with one of the slowest heroes in game, not with maximized crit. Really, stats aren't amazing. You know, defense should be significantly higher if I'm soloing those types of bosses. The important part, and really what you can get, obviously, see I'm using Divine Speed and Life Steal, right? Is make sure that you have at least 215 speed with it. So the other important part is the blessing that you get with it. At least for that fight, you can get Miracle Hero, which reduces your max H or restores your max HP that's destroyed by the boss in it. So there were a few hits that were a little close to comfort. You know, the Masteries. I probably could have gone with attack instead of crit damage, the attack instead of the crit rate. Excuse me, because I don't really crit on this, and I think the baseline damage would have been more significant. But went with crit damage. Increased damage inflicted when attacking with 50% or less, which you are most of the time. Went with Life Drinker, which is important because it gives you the extra heal that you need in that fight. Bring it down, giving more damage with targets with higher max HP, which is, of course, anything that you're going to be stolen with them. Kill Streak increases damage inflicted by 6% in arena and 3% in all other locations. Killed by the champion battle, stacks across that. Methodical, increasing your baseline damage, which is super important because the more damage you do, the more life steal percentage you get. And then, of course, the War Master. You could either go Giant Slayer or War Master. I went with the War Master because I think I just like that damage percentage more. And then, of course, on the defense side, Tough Skin for the defense, which is damage and mitigation for you. Decreases AoE damage, which you're going to be doing from a lot of bosses. Heals the champion each time the enemy heals, which that boss heals naturally. Resurgent, of course, remove one random debuff. So if you do fight those bosses, reduces damage with delayed death. And then, of course, Harvest Despair, which doesn't really work on that boss because he doesn't get stunned. But because you do a stun on other bosses or instances, the leech buff is super helpful with it. So the other thing, of course, is Retribution. The counterattack super helpful. Even though you get to put up your natural counterattack with your A3, it's still nice to have an additional counterattack when you're in those off periods with it, because you will at 215 speed you'll speed yourself out of the buff on one or two instances of it. And then of course, as you can see, nothing really optimized in terms of accessories. Just threw some random stuff on with it, which all accessible in terms of what you get with it. Now you're not going to naturally have a 6-star item, so you may have to do lower versions of the sand boss, which ultimately you could probably do with teams. But if you wanted to farm something to do it, you could do so with the Executioner. Executioner, hands down, no matter what you're doing, is going to be a good option. And so we'll do just a random brutal 3 real quick, see how he does. Now he's not going to be the fastest clear, right? So it's okay, but the reality is that you'll have some access to some good farming if you wanted to do your auto farming, etc., and not have any of those issues with it. So naturally, I can't find them. We'll just sort by recently used. There we go. Okay. So this is the round you're gonna farm to level up your character's your food anyways. So we're again not the fastest clear. I think an eighth that you're using is gonna be like 15 to 16 seconds with it. This one we clear in, what is this? 30 seconds, 29 seconds. So 29 seconds to clear with Executioner. Phenomenal ad, super budget hero in terms of it. He's going to be probably one of your most reliable guys that comes with it. Nothing insane with it in terms of what you got. Like I said, he's been one of the most used heroes early on in Raid. Obviously, as heroes have come out and new things have come out, he's kind of gone to the wayside. But Executioner does exceptionally well on almost anything. Super important though to remember, because he's one of the slowest heroes, that you're going to have to really focus on making sure that he has high speed. Speed is going to be the ultimate thing that really helps him out, and then of course having your healing potential with it. So lifesteal, of course, and then of course all your masteries that give you the HP back with it. So you really won't be able to outscale anything that has like exponentially increasing damage. Necessarily, but if you need a farmer for low-end bosses or dungeons, etc., this is going to be the play. And if you're a new account, if you're a new player, when you get this guy, you can actually get him from the campaign. You can farm him. So even if you need skills for him, you can actually farm the campaign that drops Executioner, which I think is the Act 11. So it's an easy way to gear him up too. You're not spending any silver to do much with it outside of just gearing up the items, which you'll use for other people as well. I mean, if you have a lifesteal set on your Eighthful and your Eighthful's not cutting it, you can put it on the Executioner as well. So really you can translate this build from your starting character with your starting guys to this guy. You can start it with your arena defense, so you can do a lot of things with it. So this guy's exceptional. Executioner, probably one of the best budget builds out there. Arguably one of the best heroes, I think, in the game for a lot of things that you want to do. And he's a low barrier for entry, so it makes it very easy for new players. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns on the builds, here's the total stats if you want to take a look at them. I get a little bit from, of course, the artifacts from Infinity's Classic Green, etc. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns specifically on how to build it, how to farm for them, what to do with them, hit me up in the comments. Feel free to, if you like this video, to hit like, and of course, if you like enough to hit subscribe, please do that. I appreciate all the support. Thanks again, guys, and this is another budget build.